Hey everybody! You know, the wind came up outside and it's kind of dusty, blowing the dust up and stuff, so I have to keep the cover on that more speed. And, and it just showed me that I need to get that machine up to the front of this building and start sheltering it, if I had like a roof over it and some tarps and stuff like that. At least I could do quite a bit more. And I have quite a bit more to do. It's one of those things that I'm not trying to look at as a whole because there's a lot of hours more work to do. That thing's sitting 3 or 4 years out in the weather at the salvage yard out there did not do anything any good. But it's sort of like, it's savable. And once it's done, it'll be a good machine, just like the old Brown and Sharp mill that was out there with it. And I have shown on my other channel, I don't know about this channel, and I'm going to try to make that other channel work again, but I don't know why. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. There's still another machine sitting there, but I think it's too far gone. It's a McElvaney geared head lathe that has one of the. It's a lightweight machine, 15-inch swing, but it's got about 10-foot bed on it, and not a lot of speeds, not a lot of power, got a couple broken things on it. Totally savable a few years ago. But it looks like the headstock has filled up with water, and I'm sure the gears are pretty bad in it. You have to, I don't know, nobody's going to do anything with it. It's really rusted and it's finished. But back when I got the mill, I wanted to save it. And I didn't have that axle set, and the problem with that machine was its length and not powerful enough. I wanted a more powerful machine. So there's that, and I'm staying away from that place. I can't go to the scrap yards like that anymore and watch the machine sit there and get rusted. I can't take it, I tell you. So anyway, I'm kind of taking a little break here. I'm going to go back out there. I got a couple of things to do, and I think I'm going to focus on getting that drill up to the front of the building here. I can shuffle stuff around and go out and have a look at that. Oh, and I want to also thank everybody that has donated, generously donated. I tell you, I'm not comfortable with selling stuff, and I don't want to sign any contracts. That's why you won't see any Vivor or anybody else's stuff like that. But I do plug American Rotary for generously contributing a ADX15 rotary phase converter you see on the wall here to the DD channel a year ago. And I should probably do a 1-year review on it. Maybe I'll do that. Seems like it was in July or something like that. But that was very, very nice, and that works real good. And I can be totally honest and go about the pros and cons, because there's pros and cons on everything. Okay, but it's been very good. And the interest in a lot of mechanical things is really slowing down. And I noticed that with motorcycles and a lot of mechanical things, and I think it's with machine work too. So it's not kind of worth it to do the view revenue thing like that. And I think it's a bummer to break up, though it happens. If you see commercials in the middle of these videos on Dire Machining. They're not mine. Some the big powers put that in there. But if I did that commercial thing, sent the video would be broken up with commercials, and I don't like commercials, you know. And maybe I don't like programming, you know, because it interferes with my commercials. I don't know. But I just try to keep that commercial free that way. And I just uncomfortable at my age and experience and stuff signing contracts. But that doesn't mean I won't test some product or something like that and recommend things that work real good, you know, like that American Rotary. That thing works real good. And axles and lathes, they work real good. But boy, they could wear you out too. the pros and cons. Okay, well, thanks everybody that's donating, and I can keep this commercial free, and still I can use that those donations for this needed sound, microphones and stuff like that. And that means I have to evolve to a better camera system. And I'm not very good at computers. A fellow contacted me and asked me to do the kind of eyeball on his channel. I noticed people, I don't know, it's kind of a red thing or something. I don't know how to do that. I have a hard time with computers. The one thing I can do is buy things on eBay. Okay, with that, it's all learning, right? It's all a learning curve, okay? And the computers is my learning curve. And the radial drill, which I'm kind of excited about doing some of those operations. And I'll talk about some of that. And that Axelson's gonna help with the tooling really nicely. Okay, well, click it on again out there at that old drill. Hey, it's windy out here. I had to button this up. Weather permitting, I guess I'll work on the drill. But I tell you what, it's got a fire under me to get this drill up to the building and get it under cover. But I'm grateful that I got done what I got done right now. I'm at a good start on this spindle. And on these old machines, you got to really be careful with spindle adjustment. And I have a lot of experience doing it. And I'm very, very conservative. I would rather remove the cover and have to tighten up the bearings on this spindle after running it than remove the cover to have to repair the spindle that I over tightened. So I'm at a good start here, and as these spindles run in on machines that have been idle or abandoned and stuff like that, things change with them. Oil does odd things when it sits and doesn't lubricate like it should, and I don't know, like whey oil and stuff will the acid, the sulfur in the oil will mix with moisture and etch the wheys, and that happens a lot on machines when you use whey oil. It has a lot of sulfur in it, so that's always something to consider. Now what I'm going to do here, now this here is pretty cool. I don't know if you can see the scale, the sheer scale of this. This, during the COVID thing, was the least expensive 8-inch import swivel base vise. I don't think they sold this import without the swivel base. And it was just under $200 with free shipping. And the last I looked at these things, I think they're about $300 and $120 shipping. And it's a copy of the real thing, a Kurt, you know. And I tell you, a Kurt 8-inch vise is a monster, and this thing is probably half the weight. And this is where you really see the difference between the knockoffs and the real thing, like a Kurt 8-inch. And I don't know if you've ever seen a Kurt 10-inch. But it's anyway, a real Kurt would really weigh a lot more than this. And the reason I bought this is it's an adequate vise for a drill press, but it would be a miserable failure. For fun, we'll do a stretch test on it. It'd just be horrible. You wouldn't, you know, like an 8-inch Kurt vise is meant for some really serious milling, and this knockoff would not hold the parts, you know, but it'll hold what I want to use it for. And that's another thing I need to get into about these radial drills. I had very good instruction, though very little experience, but the instructor at the community college was very thorough on stuff. And I can't remember if it was required or not, but I believe at the time I expressed interest in using the machine, and I drilled a hole or two, you know, using the swings and stuff and locating and all that, because I was curious how, you know, much difficulty I'd run into using the arm travel and the swing and like a wiggler or something, finding a scribed line or intersection. And it was really quite easy. And the drill they had in the machine shop there, I believe, would be a 11-inch column, this size, bigger than this, which is substantially bigger machine. As these things go up, they just turn into monsters. And this one, being a small one, is really quite nimble and easy to use. But one of the bad things about these is if you have something long, and it happens to people hold the stuff in a vise often, like a long piece of angle iron, and the drill snags onto it and pulls it out of the vise. Like the work will climb up on a drill, and then it turns into just like a deadly propeller, and that can kill you, pull you into this column. It's like the gap, if you have the head over, which is normal, it gives you a big gap. And that gap is a hazard in itself because it won't catch work. So if you're standing even in front of it and something comes loose, it can come and scoop you up and pull you around and trap you. And a lot of people have been killed by these things in many ways. This is the lift mechanism here, this Acme screw. And the screw stays stationary, and then there's a geared mechanism. We'll be getting into that. I've looked into it and basically gave it an initial clean. It's got a rotating nut, and inside that nut is a safety nut called a captive nut, and that's in case the nut wears out, like a nut, half nuts on an old wave. This heavy arm could I don't know, you know, that's probably 3,500 pounds, could suddenly drop on you and kill you. So the only thing holding this up, if it's not clamped, is this screw. So when you're under that screw, you're under like you know, over three, like a car above you, held by just that screw. That's kind of scary if you think about it in the best. But the rotating nut elevates this up, and inside that nut is a caged nut called the captive nut, in case the actual torquing nut, if you will, the lifting nut fails, it'll fall onto the captive nut that doesn't rotate, and then you have to repair the machine, but it keeps you from getting squished. That's important. I thought you might like some of that safety stuff. Now, I have seen these machines locally here at shops years ago. There was really a great Caterpillar headquarters almost here. This really was a big food producing farm community, and they had a really large Caterpillar dealership downtown here called Stone Machinery, and they had all kinds of tools like this, big lathes and mills and all this stuff. Some of it was old, and I remember one of these that was line shaft, and the pulley was down here, and it went to a spline shaft, and then ran all this stuff like you see on this. Instead of that motor there, it had another shaft coming down with the line shaft pulleys down there. And this company, Morris, was a popular brand back then. And these machines, if you look at the antique machine, it's just like this, except no cover. All of the guts is exposed. And there's just dozens of oil points and stuff. But the design really hasn't changed. Okay, so one of the things I'm doing here, why I have that vise like that, is when I move this, I have to be extremely careful that the arm doesn't move. I'll be right back in a second and pick up on that. Okay, back on this side, I wanted to show you planer marks still on the side of that old table. I do everything I can to preserve these, and I know woodworking machine guys do everything they can to preserve these too. They on the best old woodworking machines were finished with planers, and for some reason someone beat the crap out of this with a hammer, and I'll have to dress the edges. There's like a wow there. And clean that up and eventually use those precision stones on there. That'd be a great thing to do, huh? Well, one of the things I wanted to point out about these machines, I had the opportunity over the years to see a lot of machinery coming and going at the machine tool dealers. We had oh gosh, there was Bixby in Spokane, and George Washington machine, and Moses Lake, and the ones in Seattle, there was Halliday, and I think a Royal, and I don't know if anybody remembers Anchor Machinery in Port Orford. Oh, that's an interesting experience. I bought my son-in-law there. I'm probably rambling too much, but I got a hold of Son-in for some stuff. I gave him the serial number of the home, and they go, "You're not supposed to own that. That's a government special machine." And I never heard much more about it. I told them where I got it. And they still sold stuff to me, and no one came and confiscated the machine. But the government did sell, or buy things from manufacturers, and the manufacturers would have conditions. And I saw that with Snap-on tools over at Hanford. A guy made me aware of it, and was when they were done with several sets of Snap-on tools that they simply destroyed them and buried them, because they agreed not to sell the sets to the public, probably because they paid such a low price for them. Okay, so what you got to watch out for, I want to get a safety, is when you move these machines and this arm swings, if you like send it down with a forklift or something, and that arm starts swinging out, and it'll tilt the machine over. And I've seen these things laying on their side in truck beds from trying to load these. So I'm going to move this, so I got to stabilize this machine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the arm over and put a piece of iron in here and a bracket to grab this arm and clamp it with a vise, then use the regular clamps and stuff to make sure while I'm jostling this thing around, I've got only 20 feet to move it. And I'm going to take my time doing it too. Now I got to get this hard-inch chucker out of the way, and so I'm going to lower the price. But I wanted to point that out about these machines. Here's the lift mechanism here, the screw, the mechanism's in there, and the safety captive nut to keep that whole thing from crashing down on you. But I don't know, it's I always kind of felt it's good to kind of stay out of the way as best you can anyway. Okay, I'm going to see how much film time I've run, maybe call this a video, then start another one, because it's windy out here right now. So I'm going to work on a lot of the small stuff for this Radial, and some of it's really nice. Okay.